What's up, boys and girls? It's your pal right here, the one and only Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael Lee Sanders, coming at you with this week's Lucha Underground review, where we had got introduced to a lot of Lucha stars. Man, what a jam-packed episode. A damn good episode it was at that. Strongest it's been so far. Hey, as always, for those of you that had checked out Lucha Underground, we'd love to hear from you guys. Make sure you post those comments right down below. And remember, you can share this episode a number of ways by Facebooking it, Google Plusing it, retweeting it. It's one of the many ways you can spread a good word about our content. You can follow me on Twitter at the RCWR Show or on Facebook at Infinity One Productions, to infinity and beyond. Infinity One Productions. Make sure you throw in the E, put in the actual number one. Infinity One Productions. We aren't just saying that for the hell of it. Those of you that have the Twitters, you have the Facebooks, definitely go out of your way to follow us on those platforms. That way, whenever new breaking news goes down, or whether or not something's come up and we might not be able to do a show or whatnot, at least you're following us on those platforms, because that's where we're going to be breaking the news first. Knowing is better than not knowing. So if you're not following us, make that change today. All right, so this episode of Lucha Underground, it was very AAA oriented, and that's because of a lot of the stars that we had saw make their debut on this episode. Now, the show had basically kicked off with the video package highlights of Chavo Guerrero turning on several Lucha Underground wrestlers, in particular turning on Sexy Star and Blue Demon Jr. Now, this week we see Conan in an office rather of Dario Cueto. And Conan says he has 3 new talents that he's going to be bringing in. Cueto says he's going to put all 3 of those men in the main event match against each other to find out just who is the strongest muchacho out of the 3. He then makes his way to the ring and takes a couple of shots at the people that were complaining about the lack of lucha on the show. He said, well, from here on now, there's going to be a change, and it's going to be felt on this very episode. As the very first match we had saw La Mariachi Loco take on Mascarita Sangrada. And I gotta tell you, Mascarita, he was a very short wrestler. Honestly, I wasn't surprised when I saw this move go down. I saw this guy first come out, who, by the way, he stood at like about maybe 4 feet tall, maybe 3'11". I'm not really sure. You see him, and you're kind of like, okay, this is going to be kind of interesting. Let's see exactly where they're gonna go with this. At first I wanted to say, oh no, not a Hornswoggle or El Torito. You guys that know your wrestling promotions, you know exactly those names I'm referencing, so you'll get that. You others, Google's your best friend. But I'm looking at this guy come out and I'm thinking maybe we're gonna have a situation like that. We actually got a very entertaining lucha match. Damn good. I was very pleased with this. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was just going to be a big old fat joke, but it was a very serious match. I like how the Mariachi Loco, I like he was just undermining his opponent. I love how he was pointing at him, laughing, basically being very discriminating and all that. And boy, did he get his ass whooped in a big way. I mean, pretty much for a majority of the match, Mascarada Sangrada, he pretty much was just doing a lot of running head scissors, a lot of arm drags, some high risk maneuvers from the top turnbuckle, like as far as flying hurricanrana or whatever. But I mean, it was just pretty much head scissors throughout this match, but it was still a pretty decent match. He ended up winning by a small package, if I'm not mistaken. Now, following that event, we had saw Chavo Guerrero hit the ring, where he had attacked Mascarada laid him out. Remember what he did last week, so of course he still has to continue that trend. Which at this point you're saying to yourself, why Chavo? Why? Well, in the next segment we would see Vampiro kind of channeling a little bit of how the Undertaker is looking nowadays. Those of you that have been following the career of the Undertaker, you've seen the photos of him floating around outside of the ring. You kind of get the Vampiro reference I'm making there. But Vampiro interviewing Chavo Guerrero, trying to get some answers, as Chavo says that he's done things the right way, mainly out of respect to his family for many, many decades now. But now he's fed up. He's tried it the family's way. From here on out, he's going to start doing things his way. Chavo says that with regards to Blue Demon Jr., hey, he sucked when he was in his prime, and he only became popular as a result of his father's success. Chavo also has said that he's not just gonna be one of those type of people that's just gonna be a familiar face. He's there in Lucha Underground to dominate. He wants to be number one. As far as he's concerned, the Guerreros are number one. To accept anything less, really, that's just not an option, for real. From there, we had later saw a backstage segment where Conan and Chavo, they bumped into one another. Conan tells him that someone down in Mexico had found out what he did to the demon, and that it's a matter of time before word had reached out to this individual. Now, Conan had advised Chavo to get out of town and quick. From there, Chavo runs into Mil Muertes with Katrina rather. Katrina says Chavo took something that didn't belong to him, and one day he'll belong to Mil Muertes, and then licks Chavo's face. She proceeded to lick at least three different guys' faces during the course of this episode. Chavo was one. There was of course, Mil Muertes. She licked and sucked his face, and then the opponent that Mil Muertes had defeated, Ricky Mandale. A little bit of a squash match right there. Won via flatliner, if I'm not mistaken, but she licked him too. From there, we had cut to another backstage scene where we had saw Johnny Mundo looking for Dario as he ran into Castro and Cisco. He pretty much beat the crap out of those guys as he made his way to Dario's office. Dario thought he was about to get the ass beating of a lifetime when Mundo tells him, hey, relax. I want you to make a match between me and Big Rick next week. Dario's like, is that all you want? Yeah, sure, no problem. You've got it. Johnny Mundo leaves the office, but before he steps fully out of the office, Mundo says to him, oh yeah, by the way, after I'm done with Big Rick, I'm coming after you. And that just made Dario almost shit his pants because he was just petrified after that. You're seeing that, you're like, oh, what the hell? You feel kind of sorry for Dario, but then at the same time, you kind of didn't, because you're hearing that news and you're kind of like, huh? All right, so what's going to happen next? I want to welcome those of you that's checking out our Lucha Underground review right now. It's awesome to be talking about a new wrestling promotion, especially one that just looks so promising. And it looks like our audiences, as far as wrestling fans go, they're definitely representing. It's nice to see that there's more and more people that are trying to do their part in spreading the word about the Lucha Underground promotion. I mean, you take from the debut episode to now, the viewership, the ratings, it's going up, and I like seeing that steady rise. Hopefully, with us and other shows continuing to talk about it, wrestling websites continuing to talk about it, more and more people can get attached to this. I know the Lucha Underground and other powers that are at play as far as people involved with the El Rey network. I believe they had just signed a new cable deal, or they're about to sign a new deal. So it looks like Lucha Underground is going to be available in more households. That's really the key right now, is making sure that this network is available to as many cable satellite providers as possible, even if it's a case where it's part of a higher tier package. Just to be able to have that option to get it, at least it's there ready for you to purchase. It's up to you whether or not you want to grab it. And some of the channel content that's on there, it's pretty freaking solid. I gotta be brutally honest, it's very freaking solid. But we hope you're enjoying our recap and review so far. For those of you that maybe didn't check it out, and maybe it's getting you amped up, you want to check out this promotion, definitely you will not be disappointed. It's got these nice elements of the Wire slash the Shield meets a great Spanish drama on Telemundo or whatnot, or Univision, meets your Ring of Honor, meets the good old days of TNA, when things were good for the promotion, when it looked as though they at one point had that identity. Not necessarily the whole six-sided ring, but the characters that they had and all that really seemed like it was the combination of all that. At least that's my assessment, to each its own. To our triple threat match we go, which of course we had said this episode was very, very heavy on former AAA stars, not to mention very heavy on the Lucha Underground. The Luchas definitely represented. We had saw Drago take on Pentagon Jr., take on Phoenix. Oh my god, this was a insane match. Just insane. There were so many spots in this match. You talk about high risk maneuvers. It was just freaking insane. One of the spots that I had enjoyed the most, I think it was Phoenix, who at one point, somehow he managed to get on top of Dario's office. You see where Dario goes once he makes the matches and all that in that little office. Well, the way they got it built, there's like a little rooftop, and I believe it was Phoenix that got on top of that. And I mean, he just did an insane body, cross dive body off the top of that. You're saying to yourself, there's no way this guy's gonna. I thought he was gonna do some type of a sunset flip type of thing. I would have thought that really would have been insane, but he tried to go with something that was a little bit more safer. But I didn't think that was a safe move to be doing, period. My whole thing was, please catch this guy. Please catch this guy. Both guys did a good job in catching him. There was also another insane spot where Phoenix had did a big top rope Frankensteiner on Pentagon. Oh, it was a really, really great sweet spot right there. But then Pentagon hits him with a backstabber, and then he tries to go for Drago, or Drago. Phoenix, he had exit the ring as Drago, Pentagon, they started brawling, and pretty much it ended with Pentagon chopping Drago, and then followed by arm dragging him, and I think it ended with a pal driver. I'm not really sure. No, it ended with a reverse hurricanrana. It was a really, really great match right there. Those guys represented big time. Your winner is Phoenix via reverse hurricanrana. Last scene of this episode, we see Dario Cueto. He is visibly shaken and is very concerned about the fact that Johnny Mundo could possibly be coming for him next week. We did see him give a boatload of money to Big Rick earlier in the night and say to him, look, you got to do any and everything you can to take out Johnny Mundo. I want this guy in a hospital. Big Rick didn't say anything. He just laughed like, dude, you got nothing to worry about. Why the hell are you even tripping? It was kind of like one of those type of things. But the last scene that you have on your television screen before it goes off the air is Dario just walking back and forth, and you basically hear his thoughts as he's basically saying he's not going to be intimidated by anybody. He's talking about how he's concerned about Johnny Mundo, but Despite that, he's not going to be intimidated, and it just pretty much goes off like that. Nice little cliffhangers that they're doing, and that's the one thing that I really, really love about Lucha Underground, and I think it's an art form that's really lost in today's standards of wrestling when you check out various wrestling promotions. And from a lot of the Lucha Underground stars that granted interviews, including Chavo Guerrero, who chatted with us. We're actually remixing that audio as we speak right now. We hope to have that be available for you guys in the coming weeks, probably before the Thanksgiving holiday, hopefully. But that's the one thing that a lot of them seem to have talked about, which is rather than be out on the road and rather than them be doing pay-per-views and all this, they could just focus on one episode a week, and it's just building upon building upon building upon building of great storytelling. And they really have been doing a phenomenal job at that. I love the fact that we got Chavo Guerrero as one of the producers. Now, I ended up watching the Spanish version of this because, to a certain extent, I am a little bit bilingual, and it's kind of nice to be able to brush up on my Spanish, as I used to talk it be able to talk it very fluently several years back. But I ended up watching the Spanish version, and I'm not sure how many of you guys are bilingual, but if you want a really more gratifying experience of the Lucha Underground promotion, I would recommend you check it out on Saturdays on I think the channel is Una Mas at 4 p.m. Vampiro does double duty. What you guys see on the American version on Wednesday nights and all, you know, he's doing commentating with Matt Striker, but on the Saturday shows and the way they film it, he's actually teaming with a former WWE employee, Hugo Sanovich, I think that's his name. And just the way that they cut it, I mean, it's very unique. It's kind of funny watching Hugo and Vampiro do Spanish commentating, and then like you see some shots in the background where Vampiro, clear as day, is sitting right next to Matt Striker, and then they cut back to Hugo and Vampiro. It's like totally freaking hilarious right there. And the other thing that kind of like really just makes my brain just kind of click even more when I'm seeing stuff like that on top of that is the scenes that they show, like the dramatic scenes with Dario and Conan, and they're talking, and they're both as clear as day. It's their voices and all, no second take, no overdubbing. They're talking in Spanish, and then you just see these guys do their thing for the American audience on Wednesday. So it's like, wow, these guys are doing two takes. They're doing one take for the American crowd, and then they're doing a second take for the Spanish crowd. It blows my mind because I was originally expecting for the English to dominate, and then the same actors go in and they do their own Spanish overdub. I thought it was going to be a scenario like that, but no, these guys are doing two different takes. So insane stuff right there. It even bleeds into the ring, like when Dario came out to talk to the crowd, he ended up actually talking to them twice, once in English, another in Spanish. To the ring announcer, it's like a completely different experience. I think the edge goes more to the Spanish version over the American version. I actually prefer Hugo more than Matt Striker. I like the Hugo Vampiro combination more so than Striker Vampiro. For those of you that are bilingual and you've checked out the American version of it and the Spanish version, let me know which version you like more and why. And if we can get enough comments, I'll definitely share those results on our next episode of the RCWR show for sure. But this episode, look, heavy on the lucha wrestling, strongest episode to date. It definitely represented, if they could continue this type of trend, and I know they can because they've got a great helper in Conan who spent a lot of years working in the AAA promotion, so you can just imagine the different type of connections that he has for sure. You know, they can continue this trend without a doubt, you know. But strongest episode that I've seen thus far from the promotion. I can't wait to see how they do things next week. But that is going to do it. Lucha Underground definitely gets a pass from us this week. Hey, once again, let us know what you thought about Lucha Underground. And a quick programming note, the way it's looking right now, there is not going to be a weekend edition of the RCWR show. We were supposed to do a weekend edition for you guys, but I am swarmed up to here in projects, and I've got interviews lined up for future shows that we're going to be doing for you guys, that I'm just going to be kicking back, resting. But we will be back with regular programming this coming Monday. It's going to be an all new The RCWR Show Live, which you can catch right here on YouTube. Join me and my broadcast partner, the evil genius of professional wrestling, wrestling manager extraordinaire Titus Machiavelli, as we'll be talking about fallout from Monday's WWE Raw, where it should be an interesting episode. Grumpy the Cat will be hosting. Yes, Grumpy the Cat will be hosting. That should be a very interesting one right there. And then, of course, we'll have the Tuesday night radio edition of the RCWR show, which you can catch at 10 p.m. Eastern only on Spreaker.com. If it's your first time checking you out, I'd love to have you be a part of our great community. It's very interactive. Everybody respects one another. Really great community, man. Definitely hit the subscribe button. Check us out. You won't be disappointed, I promise you. We got some really great content, whether it's breaking news, doing reviews like this, or stuff outside of wrestling. We got a little bit of something for everybody. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out the links in this episode description, because we have some great podcast episodes you can check out on the downloads and for free. iHeartRadio app, Stitcher app, Blog Talk Radio. We're pretty much everywhere, so check out the links in the episode description. And in the meantime, that is going to do it. Make sure you give this a thumbs up. Share it by Facebooking, retweeting, Google Plusing it. Always one of the many ways you can spread a good word about our content. That is going to do it until next go round. Please, folks, be safe, and most importantly, be kind to one another. See y'all next go round. Everybody, take care.